think I'm getting a thumbs up from Anthony that we have Aditi Kinkhabwala ready to join us from her brand new setup with equipment that's working. What's up, Aditi?
It's not working.
It's not working.
Nope,
That's
no
what's so
sound, Ant.
frustrating.
Got no
I just
sound
went
from Aditi.
through this whole thing with a
Nope.
a whole brand new camera, brand new microphone, brand new mic, brand new IF whole thing, and then I try to connect. No, I was just on a 2-hour Zoom where everything was working. I apologize, guys.
It's okay. It's still good to see you. Mike can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Well,
I can hear you.
yes, I can hear you.
See, I was totally going to screw with her
me?
and say, Didi, I'm so sorry we can't hear you. But we can.
I guess
I was just going to mess with you.
I guess I'll ask you the first question. First of all, I started to text you this last Saturday. I thought you did a great job on the sideline with the Browns and Vikings game. And your interview with Deshaun Watson was amazing. I thought he was engaged. I thought he was entertained. It seemed like he really wanted to talk to you. And I was just curious because I knew you were going to be on. I was curious to know.
Right? Shocking.
Yeah. I was curious to know, in your opinion, what is the biggest difference about Deshaun Watson, the person, from that first interview 3 years ago in Jacksonville to the one that you did last Saturday on the sidelines in Cleveland Brown Stadium?
I just think he's a lot more comfortable where he is, where life is, where he feels that he belongs as a Cleveland Brown. You could see that he's got a ton of excitement about the new freedoms he'll be given in this offense. In a lot of ways, he's not that different. But again, I just think that we're talking about a 2-year journey or time removed from what was, sort of your initial introduction and everything that accompanied his entire signing, what his life had been those last few years, what all of that. This is such a dicey way to frame all of this, and I don't want to look like I'm coming down on either side of any of it. I just think that that's it. He is more comfortable right now. He is definitely very, very excited about this offense, and he's excited about who's in the wide receiver room with him. So you can get a sense of all of that. And I would hope that after he's been around me for 2 years now, he also feels more comfortable with me.
Didi, we had Bernie on yesterday, and I said there's all the talk about the new offense, and yes, I agree, 11 personnel and all that, but there's a part of me that feels like with the issues they have on the offensive line, we're still going to wind up in 12 and 13 personnel with Nick Harris and Michael Dunn on the field and extra blockers, extra tight ends, and it's going to revert, at some point, it's going to revert back to what it was. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy because look, you have to protect your $230 million quarterback, don't you? And after all of the injuries last year, I think that that's very reasonable. But again, I think that this is not about a complete overhaul where you will never again see 12 and 13 and you will 95% of the time see 11. This is just about an augmented passing game. This is about having a few more choice routes, a few more options, a few more bits of quarterback freedoms. And it's kind of just what you would want to see of any offense is that you're not necessarily going away from what's made you good or what your roots are. You're just growing. You're just expanding a little bit more. And so, especially early on, I mean, Jason, you make a great point. And this is sort of with our friend Ken Carman. I had this argument on the radio where I was like, of course, Deshaun Watson should play this weekend. He wants to play. I think it's important to get that first hit out of the way. It's important to see a live rush before it actually counts. But he was saying if there's not a healthy line, why would you put him out there? And so, that's very valid as well.
Aditi, do you think the starters, for the most part, will play against Seattle? I know we haven't seen many of them yet thus far this preseason, and Kevin Stefanski said Deshaun Watson will play. Deshaun said, I'm not so sure. Then Kevin kind of walked it back yesterday and said he'll play it day by day until they get to Seattle. So what do you expect to see from this Browns team?
You know what, Mikey?
Saturday?
I think that that's all. We won't find out, actually, until we have our production meeting, which is usually Thursday, but now this week will be on Friday. I think that all of these factors have to go into it, right? So, I truly believe that Kevin Stefanski had every plan to play every starter that he could, minus maybe Joel Bitonio and Myles Garrett, on this third or during this third preseason game. But since then, he's lost every single tackle in the building. So I think that informs or affects or changes those decisions, and that's why you're just not locked into it. I do feel very confident in saying that Deshaun Watson wants to go out there, that Deshaun Watson does indeed want to play. But again, not up to him, so we'll see. I can't tell you. I think that Kevin Stefanski is a little bit more prudent than perhaps Deshaun Watson would have liked when it comes to the preseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if he says, you know what, we're just going to wait till week 1. The flip side is you want him to be there under center in the shotgun, whatever, getting the calls in. You want to get through the operation. We all saw what happened with Jerome Ford, who missed the preseason, and then the first time he gets hit, fumbles the ball. So you could argue it either way. I would play him, but again,
I'm with you. I think he should play.
So.
I think he needs to play.
I agree.
Yeah,
You can't go into Dallas without having him throw a pass since Baltimore. Like it's too much of a risk.
Yeah, did he?
And it's not only having thrown a pass, Jason, but it's like facing a live rush.
Right.
I mean, Micah Parsons is going to be coming at you.
Yes.
He hasn't seen a live rush since Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that I know that there were joint practices with Minnesota and that they were very engaged, but come on. That's not the same as seeing a live rush under the lights in a game.
Right.
I guess you're answering the next question for me, because we talked about earlier before you came on that the lack of continuity with these starters for the Cleveland Browns that's been on display since OTAs. How does that make you, does that make you worried that they probably won't hit the ground running come the start of the regular season?
I mean, I don't like it. Of course, if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I'd like the alternative. If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I'd much rather that everybody's out there and healthy and repping reps together next to each other. But I mean, this is the reality of the National Football League and the way that you see teams, so many coaches around the leagues play or barely play their starters. That's just what it is. Ever since the preseason has changed into this, has morphed into this, the first month of the season is always a little bit sloppy, a little bit rusty. So I don't know. I don't think it's as jarring. I don't think it's as singularly unique to the Browns as it is really truly just a sign of the times.
Does Jed Wills need a full knee replacement? Like, what is going on? How have we – this is 9 months in, and Jed is still nowhere to be found.
I don't – Jason, you probably know that better than me. Truly. This is why it's funny. I was just talking to a PR guy of another team yesterday, and I was saying that I am out of the business of breaking injury news or transactional news, and I kind of love it.
Yeah.
And if I knew the answer, then I would certainly share it. But I don't know the answer. And to be perfectly honest with you, I have not gone up to anybody and said, what is the actual real story?
So how big of a concern is this, though, in terms of trying to replace them? And I mean, you got Dallas coming to town in less than 3 weeks now, and you don't know who your tackles are at this point.
It's very valid. And I definitely wondered, okay, well, you think so much of Dawand Jones, and there is an expectation that Jack Conklin will be back. So why not at least rep Dawand a little bit on the left side, see if his body will move that way. And I was told that those movements are just so different. And while some people can go on both sides and have gone on both sides, that's just not something that they want to do with Dawand Jones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. P.S. By the way, he is an enormous human being.
Massive.
Enormous.
He makes football players look small.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny because somebody tweeted a photo of me interviewing him week 1 and was just like, wow, he makes Aditi look small. And I was like, P.S. he makes everyone look small.
It's like Aaron Judge and Jose Altuve. You and Dawand Jones.
He's also an incredible dancer, too.
Basically.
Did you see that video of him dancing?
No.
I'll send you the video.
Is he really? Does he have rhythm?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Aditi, real quick.
Based on his dancing, he could play left tackle.
Wait, but really quickly, he's supposed to be an outstanding basketball player, too.
He was.
Yeah.
All state.
He legit can dribble, and it's not just big man basketball. The man can dribble like a point guard.
Yeah. Based on his dancing, he could for sure play left tackle.
I'm gonna find the link and I'll send you the link, Aditi. Aditi, from your up close and personal experience of the sideline of these first 2 preseason games, who's a guy who has stood out to you in terms of maybe an unknown, under the radar guy who has made a real impression so far?
That's an interesting one. I think it's too hard. You know what? I'll just be honest. I think it's a little bit hard to tell in the preseason because there's a lot of veterans that are kind of just with themselves. If you give me a minute, I'll think. Jameis Winston is the guy that I've enjoyed watch the tablet with the younger quarterbacks. Like I've seen Jameis and Scoop last week. DTR was the guy that was out there, and Jameis and Scoop sat next to each other, kind of watching the tablet and reviewing things. And I appreciated that even though Scoop, I'm calling him Snoop, there Huntley, even though he wasn't out there, they both were kind of learning or teaching or call it with each other to prepare for when Tyler Huntley would be out there. Who else? MJ Emerson is always a guy who's very, very engaged with the cornerbacks, talking to the cornerbacks. That whole group, really, Grant Delpit, that entire secondary, the veterans don't go off and kind of do their own thing. They talk to the younger guys, they talk to the guys that are playing, they talk amongst each other. I like seeing that. Nick Chubb and David Njoku are like buddies. I didn't realize that. And how about that? Can we just talk about I know this isn't under the radar, but Nick Chubb is smiling like on a regular
that was crazy.
basis.
Yeah, you had him smiling in the rain. That was crazy.
That was like give you an Emmy right there for that.
I mean, he was laughing out loud, and then I got the giggles. And you know what was funny? So I met him for the first time 5 years ago, of course, and I interviewed him right after he scored his first touchdown in the NFL, which was a preseason touchdown. It was against, I believe, the Bills. And I have a picture of it, and I was showing him that picture. And I said to him, I remember that I said to him after he'd scored that touchdown and I was interviewing him post game, I'd said to him, you are allowed to smile right now. And he not my thing. And he was laughing because he remembered that. And that's actually what we were laughing about when Chris Rose talked to us, is that he makes it so hard to get a laugh out of him, but he's actually got like this beautiful smile, these beautiful teeth. He must have had braces at some point. It's just his whole face lights up when he smiles. We just need to find another person to make him laugh, because it used to be Kareem Hunt.
Well, Aditi, maybe it's Dawand Jones because we found the dance video. So, Ann, if you want to play it. Aditi, this is Dawand Jones dancing.
Oh, get out. How can a man that big move like that?
Tell me he can't play left tackle.
Oh, I would at least want to try it. I mean, okay, I just so you all know, I don't have moves like that.
Oh, I don't either.
Can do it.
I look like I'm having a seizure on broken
I
ankles.
wish I had seen that. I would have asked him to dance on the sideline for us.
Ask him in Seattle.
I don't know if he can dance in cleats.
Yeah, technically.
Aditi, one of the great conversations you had over the weekend was with Jock, and he talked about the responsibility that comes with the contract extension that he just received. What's your expectations of him going into year 2 playing under Jim Short's scheme?
I think he had a monster year a year ago, and I just want to see him build off of that. I mean, he has really settled into how he takes care of his body. He's a vegan, obviously, and has really acclimated to that, what is best for him. He's got a lot of confidence. He expects to be out there for every down. And I love, this is just a really, really worldly man in a lot of ways. He went to a half dozen African countries this summer. He obviously, it's so important to him to do work, not only in America, do community work, not only in Ghana, and strongly about his heritage, his traditions. And I really appreciated that in the contract, he's saying, yes, it means the world when a team wants to commit to you and a team feels that way about you. But also that he feels that now there is indeed more responsibility to him to be an even better teammate, to be an even better man, to justify the money that he was given, not just that, okay, well, now I've gotten it, I'm good. That's not it. Now I've gotten it, more is expected of me. I'll say one little interesting nugget. I hope I'm allowed to say this and I don't get in trouble. But anyway, he was really great about how he learned so much from Andrew Berry through the negotiation process. And he was really giving Andrew Berry a lot of kudos for how AB would talk to him and say to him, this is what I feel as a human being, but these are the parameters of business. And this is what I can do within the business framework. And this is why this shouldn't be a reflection of what I think of you as a person, and kind of was very, very frank and open and talked that out. And so I went back to AB at one point and I said to him, JOK was really great in talking about how much you taught him about the negotiation process. And then it kind of turned into this conversation. Is that really unusual that a player would be that involved, that it wouldn't just go straight through the agent? And I said, I'm very hyper emotional, so it's good that I have an agent and I'm not the one talking to the TV executives. Let them say it to my agent and he can filter it to me. And AB said it's somewhat unusual. He said quarterbacks usually take a lot of interest in what their deal is, but JOK is, that kind of a guy, very intellectual, very curious. He was involved. And then AB said he might have gotten a little bit more money because of the way he was so engaged.
That is awesome.
Because the truth, at the end of the day,
we got 2 minutes left. That's a great story.
For yourself as hard as you'll fight for yourself. Go ahead.
No, great story. We got 2 minutes left. Real quick, we started today's show with the social media rumors that CeeDee Lamb might be flirting on Instagram with some of the Browns. Would you put any credence into any of that, or is there a 0.0% chance CeeDee Lamb?
No.
Thank you.
No. The Browns really like their wide receiver room. They like their wide receiver room. I don't understand can you just be excited about the people that are in the room and say, no, they need Lamb. Come on, be excited about the guys in the room.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb is an upgrade. Let's just call it spade a spade. I like the Browns receiving room too, but I would love CeeDee Lamb if that was part of it.
Aditi, he might not be a Cleveland Brown in real life, but by the time I get off work and I get to my PlayStation 5, CeeDee Lamb will be playing in the brown and orange. I can guarantee you that one.
I think she's frozen.
Oh, I think she froze up right at the end.
Well, that was Aditi Kinkhabwala. She'll be on the call for the Seahawks Browns preseason finale this Saturday. Aditi, thank you as always. Always appreciate her insight, and she does do a great job in those sideline interviews. You don't usually get a lot out of them. I think Aditi's one of the very, very few who actually get something out of those sideline interviews and provide some insight into the game and the players she's talking to that most people just can't capture. It's a much harder job than it looks like, by the way.
Yeah.
Way harder.
It's great when they let her finish the stories.
Yeah. As far as the receiver room.
Is that shot at me?
No, not at all.
Because I thought she was done.
No,
I thought it froze.
No. That actually was not a shot at you at all.
Well, I thought it froze. I thought she was done, but it just froze.
No.
It's hard to tell.
He went Kendrick Lamar on you.
No.
I would never cut off Aditi if she was still talking.
I wouldn't let you cut off Aditi if she was still talking.
No. Well, you did once too because it clicks and when you're out here, you don't know. That's the issue with these remote interviews.
That actually that's funny. That had nothing to do with you.
That was hilarious, though.
That had nothing to do with you.
Pure coincidence.
Jason, this is